I need to tell you something that's kept me awake for 72 consecutive hours. Something that has shaken the very foundation of everything I thought I understood about our place in this cosmos. Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Comment your city name below and tell me. Have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky lately? Any lights that shouldn't be there? Any patterns that feel deliberate? NASA has quietly begun mapping these observations, and what I'm about to share may change the way you see humanity's place in the universe forever. My name is Michio Kaku, and for over 5 decades, I have stood at the intersection of theoretical physics and cosmic inquiry. I've spent my life translating the language of the universe into something the human mind can grasp. I've explored black holes, parallel universes, the fabric of space-time itself. I thought I had seen the boundaries of what was possible. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, something happened that we were not prepared for. Something that has caused emergency sessions at NASA, encrypted communications between world governments, and sleepless nights among the most brilliant minds in astrophysics. It involves an object we've been tracking since late 2019, an interstellar visitor that entered our solar system from the depths of space beyond Neptune's orbit. We called it 3E Atlas. The 3E designation means it's the third interstellar object we've ever detected. A wanderer from another star system passing through our cosmic neighborhood on a trajectory that defied our models, our predictions, our understanding of celestial mechanics. We thought it was just another comet, a frozen relic from some distant stellar nursery, tumbling through the void for millions of years before briefly illuminating our skies and disappearing back into the darkness. We were catastrophically wrong. Let me take you back to when we first noticed something was off. It was March of this year. I was in my office at the City College of New York, reviewing data that had been flagged by a colleague at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The initial observations of 3I Atlas had been routine spectroscopic analysis, trajectory calculations, composition estimates, standard protocol for any interstellar object. But then the Deep Space Network picked up something that shouldn't have been there, a signal. Not the random cosmic noise that fills the universe, not the natural radio emissions we expect from comets as they sublimate in the sun's warmth. This was structured, patterned, mathematical. At first we thought it was interference, perhaps a reflection from one of our own satellites, some terrestrial signal bouncing back at us from the comet's icy surface. We ran every diagnostic imaginable. We checked for equipment malfunction, solar interference, even deliberate jamming from foreign powers. Every test came back negative. The signal was real, and it was coming from 3I Atlas. But here's where it becomes truly unsettling. When our team at SETI and NASA's astrobiology division analyzed the signal structure, they discovered something that sent a wave of quiet panic through the scientific community. The signal wasn't alien. It was ours. 3 Atlas was reflecting our own transmissions back at us. Let me explain what this means because the implications are staggering. For over a century, humanity has been broadcasting radio signals into space. Television shows, radio programs, military communications, radar pulses, all of it radiating outward from Earth at the speed of light, creating an expanding bubble of electromagnetic noise that currently extends about 100 light-years in every direction. We are quite literally announcing our presence to anyone who might be listening. Now imagine you're in a dark forest. You've been shouting into that darkness for 100 years, never receiving a response. You begin to believe you're alone. Then one day, something in that forest doesn't just respond to your shouts. It mimics them perfectly. It repeats your exact words back to you, but with subtle changes, alterations, improvements. That's what 3 Atlas is doing. The object intercepted radio transmissions we sent into space decades ago, broadcast from the 1980s and 1990s, and it's sending them back to us, but they're not identical. The signals have been compressed, refined, and embedded with additional layers of information that we're only beginning to decode. It's as if something took our crude attempts at communication and said, "Here, let me show you how it's really done." I sat in that emergency briefing room at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, surrounded by colleagues whose faces reflected the same mixture of wonder and dread I felt churning in my own chest. The head of NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office displayed the decoded transmissions on the screen before us. Among them was a television broadcast from 1989, a news segment about the fall of the Berlin Wall. But in the reflected version, there were additional data streams woven into the signal, mathematical proofs, solutions to physics problems we haven't solved yet, and something else, something that looked disturbingly like a warning. One of the astrophysicists in the room, a woman I've known for 20 years, turned to me and whispered, "Mayo, if something out there has been listening to us for decades, why reveal itself now? Why this way?" I didn't have an answer. I still don't. But I have theories, and they terrify me. You see, 3I Atlas isn't behaving like any comet we've ever observed. Its trajectory has been adjusted twice without any visible means of propulsion, without any outgassing or jet activity that would explain the course corrections. This object has changed its path through our solar system. It's not following a natural orbit. It's being piloted, or perhaps more accurately, it's piloting itself. The object passed closest to Earth on May 23rd of this year, coming within roughly 80 million miles of our planet. In cosmic terms, that's uncomfortably close. During its approach, the rate of signal reflection increased exponentially. We were receiving compressed versions of broadcasts from multiple decades, arriving simultaneously, as if something was cataloging our entire electromagnetic history and playing it back for us at high speed. Then came the discovery that changed everything. A team at MIT working with quantum computing specialists and cryptographers managed to decode one of the embedded data streams. What they found was a star map. Not our star map, theirs. It showed the trajectory of 3I Atlas, extending backward through space and time, tracing its origin to a region near the constellation Ophius, approximately 300 light-years from Earth. But the map wasn't static. It was animated, showing the movement of civilizations plural. The map revealed a network, nodes of intelligence connected by pathways through the galaxy, forming a web of communication and commerce and culture that has existed for millions of years, while we were still single-celled organisms floating in Earth's primordial oceans and our solar system. We're marked on this map, but not as a member of this network. We're designated as something else. The best translation our linguists and AI systems could provide was quarantine zone. Let that sink in for a moment. We are not undiscovered. We are not unknown. We are deliberately isolated. I've spent the last 3 weeks trying to understand why. Why? Would advanced civilizations capable of traversing interstellar space and encoding messages into reflected radio waves? Why would they keep us at arm's length? What have they seen in our broadcasts that made them decide we need to be contained? Then I started reviewing the content of the signals we've been sending out. I watched old episodes of news broadcasts from the 1980s and 90s. I listened to our music, our entertainment, our global announcements, and I saw us as they must see us, a species in adolescence, brilliant and creative, yes, but also violent, divided, destructive. A civilization that has developed the capability to reach the stars, but hasn't yet developed the wisdom to deserve that capability. We are a species that split the atom before we learned to split our differences. We mapped the human genome before we could agree on basic human rights. We built computers that can simulate entire universes while we remain unable to solve poverty, inequality, and environmental collapse on our own planet. Perhaps the quarantine isn't meant to protect us from them. Perhaps it's meant to protect them from us. But here's what haunts me in the quiet hours before dawn. The fact that 3I Atlas is here now reflecting our signals back at us suggests something has changed. Something about humanity's current trajectory has triggered a response. Are we approaching a threshold? A point of decision where we either evolve into something worthy of joining the galactic community or we destroy ourselves and remove the problem naturally. The reflected signals include broadcasts from recent years. They've heard our discussions about artificial intelligence, quantum computing, genetic engineering, and nuclear proliferation. They know we stand at the precipice of either transcendence or extinction. And they're watching, waiting, perhaps hoping we'll choose wisely. There's another layer to this that we're only beginning to comprehend. Some of the embedded data appears to be educational tutorials, if you will. Instructions for technologies we don't yet possess. Clean energy generation that doesn't rely on combustion or fission. Methods for reversing ecological damage. Even hints at faster-than-light communication that doesn't violate Einstein's speed limit because it bypasses space-time altogether. Why would they give us this information if we're quarantined? Unless the quarantine is conditional, a test. They're showing us the tools we need to survive, to evolve, to prove we're ready, but they're not handing us the answers directly. We have to decode them, understand them, implement them, and most importantly, we have to choose to use them for creation rather than destruction. I think about the Fermi paradox often these days. The question that has plagued scientists for decades. If the universe is so vast and so old, where is everybody? Why haven't we detected any signs of intelligent life? Now, I wonder if we've been asking the wrong question. Perhaps the universe is teeming with intelligence. Perhaps they're all around us watching, communicating, building civilizations that span multiple star systems, and perhaps they've all decided that humanity isn't ready for contact yet. 3. iAtlas may be many things: a probe, a messenger, a test. But most chilling of all, it might be an auditor, a device sent to evaluate whether we've progressed enough to warrant an invitation, or whether we need to remain in cosmic isolation until we mature, or worse, until we're no longer a threat to anyone, including ourselves. The object is currently moving away from us, headed back toward the outer solar system, and eventually to interstellar space once again. The rate of signal reflection has decreased, but not stopped. We're still receiving compressed broadcasts, still decoding new layers of information embedded within our own transmission sent back to us. Each discovery raises more questions than answers. Last week, we decoded a particularly disturbing sequence. It was a compilation of all our atomic weapons tests. Every nuclear detonation from 1945 to the present played in rapid succession. No commentary, no additional data, just the raw footage of humanity repeatedly demonstrating our capacity for total annihilation. And then, following that sequence, a simple mathematical equation appeared in the data stream. It took us 3 days to understand what the equation represented. It's a countdown, not measured in days or years, but in probability. A calculation of how long, statistically, a civilization like ours can possess world-ending weapons before using them in a way that ensures extinction. According to their mathematics, we're already on borrowed time. But, and this is crucial, the equation includes variables that can change the outcome. Cooperation, resource distribution, collective consciousness, the development of what we might call cosmic empathy. The equation suggests that our survival isn't predetermined. We still have agency. We can still alter the variables and change the result. Is this their message? Is this why they've revealed themselves now in this way? Are they telling us we're running out of time to evolve, but that evolution is still possible if we choose it? I've dedicated my life to understanding the universe through mathematics and physics. I've always believed that the cosmos operates according to rational, discoverable laws. But 3iAtlas has introduced something into the equation that I never fully appreciated before: intentionality, purpose. The universe isn't just a cold mechanical system grinding forward according to thermodynamic imperatives. It's alive with consciousness, intelligence, and perhaps even compassion. Think about what it means that they're using our own signals to communicate with us. They could have sent any message they wanted in any format, but they chose to speak to us in our own voice, to show us ourselves as they see us. It's like holding up a mirror to humanity and asking, "Do you see what we see? Do you understand what you're becoming?" I've been thinking a lot about consciousness lately, what it is, where it comes from, whether it's unique to biological systems or something more fundamental to the universe itself. Quantum mechanics suggests that observation collapses probability waves into definite states. Consciousness affects reality at the most basic level. What if consciousness isn't a product of matter, but rather matter is a product of consciousness? What if the universe itself is aware and we're just individual nodes of perception within a larger cosmic mind? If that's true, then perhaps the galactic community isn't just a political or technological network. Perhaps it's a consciousness network, a collective awareness that spans star systems and transcends individual mortality. And perhaps they're waiting for humanity to reach a level of consciousness that allows us to join that network, not through technology alone, but through evolution of our awareness itself. 3. iAtlas might be more than a probe or a messenger. It might be a beacon, a call to awaken, a reminder that we're not isolated, we're not alone, but we're also not automatically included in something larger than ourselves. We have to earn that inclusion through our choices, our actions, our evolution. The scientific community is divided on how to respond to this situation. Some argue we should increase our attempts at communication, send more signals, try to establish a dialogue. Others believe we should go silent, stop broadcasting entirely until we better understand what we're dealing with. The military predictably wants to develop defensive capabilities, as if we could somehow protect ourselves from civilizations that have been traversing the galaxy while we were still learning to make fire. But there's a third group, smaller but growing, that believes our response shouldn't be technological at all. It should be philosophical, spiritual even. They argue that what's being tested isn't our scientific capability. They clearly already know we are technologically advanced enough to be dangerous. What's being tested is our wisdom, our compassion, our ability to transcend tribal thinking and see ourselves as one species on one planet in one cosmic community. I find myself gravitating toward this third perspective because when I look at the decoded messages, when I study the patterns and the mathematics and the embedded tutorials, I don't see a threat. I see an invitation, a conditional invitation. Yes, one that requires us to grow up as a species, but an invitation nonetheless. We are living through a moment that will be studied for as long as humans exist, assuming we continue to exist. The arrival of 3iAtlas and its reflection of our own signals back at us represents a turning point. We now know definitively that we are not alone. We know that we are being observed. We know that there are standards, criteria, thresholds we must meet before we're welcomed into the larger community of conscious beings that inhabit this galaxy. The question is, what will we do with this knowledge? Will we continue on our current path, divided by imaginary borders and ancient grievances, competing for resources on a planet that has plenty for all if we would only cooperate? Or will we recognize this moment for what it is? A cosmic wake-up call, a final warning, a last chance to prove we're worthy of survival. I don't have those answers. No single person does. This isn't a problem that can be solved in a laboratory or a think tank. This requires all of us. Every human being on this planet needs to understand what's at stake. We need a global conversation about what kind of species we want to be, not just for ourselves, but for our place in the universe. The data streams from 3iAtlas continue to arrive. Even as the object moves farther away, each day brings new revelations, new puzzles, new insights into how we're perceived from the outside. And each day I feel the weight of responsibility growing heavier because I know this information will eventually become public. It can't be contained forever. Too many scientists across too many institutions are involved. The truth will emerge, and when it does, humanity will face a choice. We can panic. We can retreat into fear and xenophobia, seeing the galactic community as a threat to be defended against. Or we can aspire. We can see this as the opportunity. It truly is a chance to transcend our limitations, to evolve beyond our violent adolescence, to become something greater than we've ever been before. I've spent sleepless nights staring at the equations embedded in those signals, solutions to problems we've struggled with for decades: clean energy, space propulsion, quantum entanglement, communication. They're offering us the keys to technologies that could transform human civilization within a generation, technologies that could end scarcity, heal our planet, and take us to the stars. But with each gift comes an implicit question. Will you use this to build or to destroy? Will you hoard these technologies for power and profit, or will you share them freely for the benefit of all humanity? The choice, as it always has been, is ours. There's something deeply humbling about realizing we're not the protagonists of the cosmic story we imagined ourselves to be. We're more like children who've just discovered that the neighborhood we live in is far larger and more complex than we ever realized. And the neighbors have been watching us through the window, waiting to see if we're mature enough to play with others. But here's what gives me hope. The fact that they're communicating with us at all means they believe there's potential. They haven't written us off. They haven't decided we're beyond redemption. They're giving us information, showing us possibilities, guiding us toward a better future. That's not the behavior of a civilization that views us as hopeless. That's the behavior of teachers, mentors, perhaps even older siblings in the cosmic family. 3. I-Atlas will eventually leave our solar system entirely, continuing its journey through the galaxy. But the impact of its visit will echo through human history forever. We can never go back to believing we're alone. We can never again imagine that our petty conflicts and tribal divisions are the most important things in the universe. We've been given context. We've been shown our place in something infinitely larger than ourselves. What we do with that knowledge will determine everything. I think about future generations, about children who will be born into a world that knows with certainty that we're part of a galactic community. What will that do to human psychology, to our religions, our philosophies, our sense of purpose? When you know you're being watched and evaluated by civilizations millions of years older than your own, how does that change your behavior, your priorities, your values? Perhaps that's the point of the quarantine. Perhaps they're giving us time and space to figure these things out on our own, to develop a mature civilization organically rather than being overwhelmed by contact we're not prepared for. And perhaps 3-Atlas represents a progress check, a way for them to assess whether we're moving in the right direction or whether we need more time in isolation. The data suggests we're at a critical juncture. The decoded probability equations all point to this moment in human history as decisive. The next few decades will determine whether humanity survives long enough to join the galactic community or whether we become another cautionary tale, another civilization that developed technology before wisdom and paid the ultimate price. I want to believe we'll make the right choices. I want to believe that knowing we're being watched will inspire us to be better, to cooperate more fully, to solve our collective problems rather than exacerbating them. But I'm also a scientist. I deal in probabilities and evidence, and the evidence suggests we're still dangerously close to self-destruction. Yet hope is not irrational. Hope is the variable in the equation that changes everything else. If enough people choose hope, choose cooperation, choose evolution over stagnation, then the probabilities shift in our favor. That's not wishful thinking. That's mathematics. As I sit here translating the latest decoded transmissions, I'm struck by a profound sense of responsibility. I'm one of a small group of people who know the full extent of what's happening, and soon that information will spread. The world will know that we are not alone, that we are being evaluated, that our future depends on choices we make right now. How do you tell 7 billion people that they're living in a cosmic quarantine? How do you explain that our survival depends on rapid evolution of consciousness and cooperation? How do you convey the urgency without triggering panic? I don't have perfect answers to these questions, but I know that hiding the truth is not an option. Humanity deserves to know what's happening. We deserve the opportunity to rise to this challenge, and perhaps, just perhaps, knowing that we're being watched will be the catalyst we need to finally become the species we're capable of being. The universe has sent us a message. It arrived on an interstellar comet, encoded in our own reflected transmissions, carrying both a warning and an invitation. The message is clear. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not beyond hope, but you are running out of time to prove you deserve a place among the stars. Every great civilization faces a moment where it must choose between extinction and transcendence. This is ours. Follow this channel as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings. As more information emerges from the ongoing analysis of 3i Atlas, I'll be here translating the mathematics of cosmic consciousness into something we can understand and act upon. But I need you to do something for me. I need you to think deeply about what I've shared today, not just as an intellectual exercise, but as a personal question. What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of species do you want to be part of? And most importantly, what are you willing to do to make that vision a reality? Because here's the truth that keeps me awake at night. The universe doesn't care about our potential. It only cares about what we actually do. We can have all the capability in the world, all the intelligence and creativity and technological prowess, but if we don't have the wisdom to use it properly, none of it matters. 3i Atlas reflected our signals back at us for a reason. It's showing us ourselves. And the question it's asking is brutally simple. Do you like what you see? Are you proud of the species you've become? And if not, what are you going to do about it? I leave you with this question, the same one that haunts me every day. If humanity is being evaluated by civilizations millions of years more advanced than us, what do you think they see when they look at Earth? And more importantly, what do you want them to